What are you doing today? Well, thank you for recording me, Mr.
Yeah,
Owl. All
I,
right,
w- I would
Mr.
like for
Owl.
you. I would like for you to. Can you give me some asthma, dude?
Give you some asthma. All right, hold on here. All right, I gotta wait. Which does it come through? I don't know which speaker my voice comes through.
It's
Probably
called a
this
mic.
bottom
It's
one.
called a
All right,
microphone, not a speaker.
all
But
right.
anyway,
Well, I'm on a phone, so that's what I got here. I got two speakers and one has a mic in there. I don't know which one. Here we go. All right, you can give you a little bit
yeah,
of a
yeah,
vape ASMR here.
yeah.
Some
Let's do it.
asthma.
Let's hit it. You know what's funny is that noise cancellation completely didn't. I didn't hear shit. All I heard was all I heard was digital artifacts.
Was digital.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, the reason I sent that to you yesterday is yeah, I don't know, stop now. Hey man, don't try to turn me on, you know? No, I'm kidding. The reason I sent that to you last night
Hey
was
man, I
because
can't help it. All right, you sent me that. All right, all right, all right.
so I sent that to you last night because like I said, I just want to just restate this in person, so to speak. Um I went on to
Are you doing this to state it to me, or are you trying to justify something to yourself right now because you found mild
Well,
enjoyment out
no,
of it?
no, but I'm gonna no. Listen, I'll be honest about exactly what I felt, but I will not lie about this. I swear to God, like hand to
Okay.
God, like I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. First of all, I've never been into asthma. I only experienced like the early days of asthma. I don't know, maybe there's been a whole history that I'm not aware of, but like years ago, I would occasionally click on some asthma stuff, and I sort of like to me what asthma was like some old guy really mic'd up, like reading like a bedtime story and like, and then the blah blah blah, and it's like very like mic'd up close. And I've also heard like women being like, so like I have gone to sleep sometimes doing like sort of like hypnosis before you go to bed, like
Yeah,
you're feeling successful. Tomorrow's
yeah.
gonna be better, and it's asthma because it's very mic'd close. But bro, like, so I went on to TikTok because I was like, I wanna create a new account so that I could go live, like we talked about. And I actually realized, like, I want to talk about that as well because what I realized, the best thing that we should do that keeps everything clean and easy is we each create individual accounts and then we just go on together so that it's like it's just
Yeah, yeah.
all like, yeah. And that, so I was like, my account is going to be the owl. I don't want to put my real name, but it's not like I'm going to hide
Right.
myself. I'm not going to wear a mask or anything. Like, people can draw the connection if they want to, but I'm like, I'm going to create a new account, so
Um,
I'm totally logged out and I'm just getting
we
the
should just do it with masks on for the longest time and make people be like, "What do you guys look like?"
yeah, yeah. And then it's like you do a face reveal after 3 months or something, or like 3 years or whatever. uh
Yeah.
I love that face reveal thing. I love that everybody's revealed their face now. Like all the early YouTubers who didn't
Yeah.
reveal their
But it's
faces.
it's it's one of those things. It like people are like, "Who the fuck?" Oh, hold on. But people are
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, it's like intriguing, right?" Because they're
yeah.
like, and most of them are the haters that want to know because I bet you this guy's just fucking ugly. I bet you he just, you know what I mean? Like, there's always that,
Yes, yes.
you know,
Or it's
intrigue.
people that are like a little bit weirdly into it, like
Yeah.
they're hyper fans and they actually just want to see the object of
Right.
their adoration. Um
Right.
but so this was the thing, was like, genuinely swear to God, like if I was logged in on my Flora Cash page, because that's every time I'm on every time I've ever consumed TikTok, and I stay off of it because it really I mean this legitimately, it literally depresses me. Like, I get
Yeah. I
depressed.
try to stay off it too,
No, it
actually.
actually, I hate it. Like, I literally hate it, and it drains like my literal soul from my body. Like,
Holy
not
shit.
to make too
I,
hard a point on it,
I
but
don't know if I'm that far gone with it, but I mean, I definitely kind of know what you mean because, like, if I get on it, I'll get on it and I'll just start scrolling through shit, and I'll be like, why am I doing this? And then
well, yeah, because it's
I don't
also
know, it
like
just consumes me.
the target demographic is also. I mean, even if there is content, like if you get into an algorithmic, I'm sure that if you get into an
I've
algorithmic.
had to reset mine all the time. All I get on mine, dude, I've reset it 3 times and I still get all those stupid, just like thought, whatever you want to call them, like those chicks on there that just post like their whatever, and it's like,
They're
oh my
they're like
god, but
hot takes or whatever. Is it that kind of thing or what is it? Makeup
no, they're
tutorials? Do you get makeup
no,
tutorials?
no, bro, they're just trying to like be nude and like do their OnlyFans shit, dude.
The
That's all
fuck?
I end up getting on there. And my sister's like, well, that's because that's what you watch most. I said, I don't even watch it. I've reset it 3 times and I scroll through and it just keeps coming onto my fucking feed. I think I finally got it fixed though after like this third or fourth reset. Cause like usually like I'll get on Facebook and I'll do my like Facebook reels and I don't get any of that shit on Facebook. I get like funny shit and things I'm interested in on TikTok. I'm just like, what the fuck is all this shit? But
Yeah.
I've reset it quite a few, like 3, 4 times now, and I think I finally got it where I like still get them, but I like try to swipe as fast as I can as soon as I see it because like
You can
even if you
also you
stay
can
there
also
for like,
click not interested. Have you done that?
no, I haven't done
So
that, but I
so,
probably
so
should.
I have a whole philosophy about this, but we don't have to get into it right now. Sticking to the main point. Um,
The
that
ASMR.
that night, but we should go back to this because that's very interesting. But that night, I just went on there like completely. It was logged out from the beginning, so like I'm logged in on my phone, but not on my like desktop computer. And so when I went into TikTok, it was completely logged out, and I don't ever consume TikTok on my desktop computer. And the first video was this Asmer live thing,
Oh,
and
okay.
and I was just like, I don't even know why I clicked on it. I just maybe it was I don't know what it was, but I just clicked on the unmute
Right.
audio thing, and then I was like, okay, it's Asmer, and it was. I actually was doing something else and I could only hear it. And then it was like, which is great, I guess, for Asmer. And I was like in the middle
Right.
of doing something, and then I hear this, the chick whispering, and I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And then like, but in the middle of the whispering, she's like, yes, and then can you hear what I'm doing right now, bro?
You're doing
Bro,
some
but that's what it was, and they
old
were like, it's like advanced.
Ojibwe language,
Yeah, it's so,
like
yeah.
Ojib
Actually, it
or
sounds
some,
more like some African language, right? Like
yeah,
they do the
that,
clicks.
yeah.
But I swear to God, and I was just like, oh my God, this is such a great example of like it just made me think about the stuff that we would watch. I'm just talking as like for entertainment, like just the whole world. Like there's a whole subculture now of people that are literally
Oh
like
yeah, I know.
it's like evolved to the point where like for her to be a competitive asthma person, she has to not only whisper and whatever, but then has to click away with her mouth, and she's actually extremely good at it, which is kind of crazy. Like it's like she's developed a whole secondary skill like that's akin to like a singer, like it's like weird mouth sounds that she's able to do in rapid succession and all this kind of stuff. So it's highly skilled. But then at the
So
same
what
time,
you're saying
but
is
then
we
she's
need
doing
to.
this. And she's like, and here's the thing. I just tried to reserve judgment for a minute. Like I didn't actually just send that to you to just be like, haha, fucking stupid people. I literally was like, I was kind of obsessed for a moment about like how it's almost like a developing its own art form. Because and then when I tried to just observe it like as a passive observer, I did feel like like when she was doing that and then like doing this whole thing, I was like, "Oh, that's a weird. Oh, okay, that got me somewhere." Like I see a little tingling in my lower stomach, if you will. Like okay, I get it. Like yeah, and then I can see like why people get into this thing, but it's so shocking to me that it's such a developed thing, and I haven't looked at that shit since. And actually, after I sent you that live video, I was like, I don't know how long she's gonna be live or anything like that. She's probably still live now, honestly. But I thought, but and then I
Probably
was like,
those
I don't
people
know,
never get off.
Maybe Clinton will be like, yeah, dude, that's all I watch now. I don't know. Like, I didn't know what you were gonna say, but, but, but I was just kind of shocked by it. But yeah, going back to the thing, like, yeah, you can on videos, like, you can do not interested, and I did that on YouTube like a few years back, where I was like,
I have that pop up every now and then on certain things, but I
but you
don't think
can
I've ever looked
preemptively
into
do
like,
it. Yeah,
yeah, I don't think I've ever looked into that.
that's the
I
most
mean,
powerful way.
I know you can like block accounts and stuff, which I block some of them, but
No, but the most powerful way if you want to reset the algorithm is literally to just like I did that on YouTube years ago. It's a lot more straightforward on YouTube. It's not so hidden, and you can just press the three little dots or whatever, and then you do not interested on your recommended, like when you log in, like all those videos they're trying to show you. And it was
oh
so weird,
yeah,
like years ago, like when I was like, oh, I'm getting healthy again. I'm not eating carbs. I'm working out every day. Blah blah blah. we even I think we talked at this time, 2022. We were talking about that. I was like into calisthenics a little bit,
Oh yeah,
and I was like, you know what? I'm just
this is that
gonna, even though I
years ago
want to
already.
watch
That's
it.
wild.
I know it's weird, but I was like, you know what?
Fuck.
Even though I get sucked in by to these political things, I'm gonna everything that's like division, like left versus right, all this bullshit. I'm gonna say literally not interested. So I did that. Like I went through my whole feed the whole night, and I was like, every time and then you get sensitive to it. You're like, oh, there it is. They're trying to insert that in. Like there we go. It's trying to get my
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
Not interested. So then after this like process, I did this for like one whole night and another night, and then I like and then I just go onto YouTube, refresh it, dude. It was so eye opening to me because it was like everything, all that I got at that point when I said not interested in all this bullshit was like, oh, Marcus Aurelius, Plato, like it was like college professors. It was like real good shit. Like, oh, here's an analysis of Oscar Wilde's greatest novel. It was like,
On YouTube, you're
yeah,
talking or
yeah.
TikTok?
No,
Okay.
on YouTube. And it was just like all of a sudden, like when I cleansed the algorithm of all that like divisive bullshit that gets me like, oh, I want to watch that. Then all of a sudden I was like, now I found myself suddenly, it's like I forced myself to get recommended like college professors and lectures and all this stuff. And dude, I can't tell you how fucking good that felt. Like, and then I would sit there at night and I would just like everything I was being recommended was like actually high intellectual material and not this like bullshit. But even now, like my
Brain
algorithm is
rot.
fucked again. Yeah, it's like full of like political brain rot because like it's so hard for me to ignore that shit. But
Yeah.
seriously, man, the not interested thing, if you actually just discipline yourself for like 24 hours, go on there and just say not interested, even things you are interested in, but you're like, I don't want to be fed that. Just fucking say it, and then it'll be interesting. Like, see what you get, what is left, you know. And a lot of times it's very wholesome and good and beautiful, you know, and
Hold on. If
intellectually
you're
stimulating.
if you're the owl,
Yeah,
I
what
have
are
to
you gonna be?
change. I have to make a new. I gotta find a name. New name now.
The question is, do you go with a bird or do you go with a totally different animal, like the tiger, or do you go with like the raven, or do you? I mean, what do you do, man? You got options.
That's what I'm thinking, or that's what I'm thinking about. Like, do I have to go with a bird? Because you're
No,
the owl. You're like the silent killer.
not the
The
silent
the
killer, dude.
the ninja of the birds, man. The owl.
I wouldn't say. I would say more like I would be. I think it would be much cooler, you know, to be like a falcon or an eagle or a.
I
Uh,
don't. I
you
like
know,
the owl. I think I'm gonna be the owl too.
you can't do that. That's fucked up, man. You know what you could be
Uh,
like? You could be owl, comma the. So it's almost like you know you're doing. So then it's like
you
technically
can
the
be
owl,
the
but
owl, and I'll be Mr. Owl.
oh, for God's sake, the owl's
I'm
taken,
kidding.
bro.
I'm.
God damn. Jesus
That's
Christ.
that's a good one though. I actually like that. That's like a. That's. I don't know. You've probably got. Did you just like come up with it off of a whim, or did you like
No,
think of it and
I even
I
have a
figured?
song about it and everything. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, you can have the owl then, since you've committed so much
And I
already
have it like
to
it's like laced into
the
conspiracies
alias.
and paranoia and like being a night owl and all this kind of it's everything. It's a lot of stuff.
Oh my God. That the now it sounds even more cool. I think I'm just gonna use that as my alias too now.
Bro,
I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm. I
in
don't
a
want to.
way that would be kind of funny because it would just be like a constant source of tension, you know? And but nah.
It would be so lame. I can't. That would make for a terrible live podcast because then they'd be like, "Is this guy trying to be just like the owl or what?"
Yeah, but then they wouldn't know like or is this guy just trying to be like the owl? And then I'd be like, "Ah, fuck you. I did it
Yeah, and
first."
that
And
would
then
ruin your whole alias.
and then you're gonna have Clinton like 2045 where you're like, well, actually, you know, the thing is that I had this conversation with him when we were in high school. And I had actually said how the owl was the killer, you know, the silent killer. And I think he remembered that all those years later, but that was really always my alias. You know, you know,
I just somehow overtake the whole alias and come up with some elaborate lie of well, actually, it
well, it's not even a
originated.
lie. You convince yourself, you know, you're like, well,
Yeah.
actually, I think I did
Well,
actually.
that would make me that would make me uh uh
Well, yeah, what would that make you? I don't even know.
I'm trying to think of the. Hold on, I'll do some ASMR.
Fucking like a
Um,
douchebag. That's the
no, what do they call those people? It's his personality trait. I, I
Uh,
can't think of it. Or
well,
not a trait, but like a it's a term
like a
used in
per
psychology.
like a personality disposition kind of thing, like a way of being. Is that what you're saying?
Uh yeah, I think so.
Kinda, sorta, something like that.
Dude, just what is it? You could rattle off five and I guarantee you'd get it.
Well, give me a little
Like
more
on like
information. What else do that personality? What else do they do?
they lie and they're manipulative.
Oh, but like just antisocial personality disorder, or like a
No,
you're
like I'm
talking about the
talking an
people that
actual
lie specifically.
that convince them. Well, they lie, but like they eventually convince themselves that that's true.
Are you just thinking of like
Like,
narcissistic
yes,
personalities?
there we go. Thank you. You got it in the first one. I told you to do five, and you got it in the first one. I knew you'd get it because that's I couldn't think of the damn word. Yes, narcissist. I said if I did that, then that would make me a narcissist.
Yeah, I guess on some. Yeah, well, yeah, actually, yeah.
That'd be like a whole level of narcissism.
But I have
Like
learned that,
convincing myself that it's true and like claiming it's true and then lying about it for 20 years.
and then also being extremely offended if anybody ever challenges
Right.
your newly adopted lie identity or whatever it's. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, narcissist.
that's the
Um,
sad thing.
I
It's
knew
like,
you would. I knew you fucking know. I was just my brain dumped it. I couldn't think of it for a second.
I mean, we've had me and Express have had a lot of conversations about like narcissism and the idea of like it's also I have a little bit of an issue with the fact that these things get sort of like pop cultured and stuff, and then it's like
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean, and then people like are starting to think
yeah.
like every ex-boyfriend I ever had was just a
Oh
narcissist.
God, don't even get me started on that. Dude, that's the only thing I hear. Like, for instance, the whole like gaslighting. Like
Yeah.
anytime you do anything, it's like, oh, you're just gaslighting me. It's like that's not gaslighting.
No,
Gaslighting is a whole different level. Gaslighting is like literally convincing somebody like of like their reality is wrong, like
exactly.
completely and utterly
Exactly.
like taking away what they thought was to
It,
be true and right. And like Charles
exactly.
Manson, maybe you could link to,
Yeah,
with those
gaslighting.
people like that would be,
Yeah.
a form of gaslighting where they're completely brainwashing,
100%. 100%.
you know.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then, a lot of people these days are like, oh, my boyfriend, he gaslighted me a lot and did this and did that.
Gaslighting
And
me.
it's like, okay, that's not gaslighting. Gaslighting is totally changing your perception of reality. What
Yes,
he's doing
yes.
is probably totally unaware of what he's doing, and you're just taking it in a totally terrible context. Granted,
Yes.
some dudes are evil, but I think a lot of people that do have those intentions aren't necessarily doing it out of like, some of them probably are, but I think a lot of people do it out of not even knowing they're doing it,
Yeah.
as
In other
opposed to
words, not
those.
doing it out of malice.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree
So
with you.
it's,
And that's actually
there's
the
no motive behind it. Some people, yeah, they probably do that, but I think most people don't.
agreed.
Hey, you cutting up a tomato in there or what?
Yeah. Is that a problem?
Are you actually? No, I'd believe it though. Oh, I know what he's doing.
I was having an
Oh,
apple.
he was in. Oh, damn, I was close.
I mean, the
Tomato, apple, they're
apple.
both fruits, depending on who you ask.
We'll just
Ah,
we'll leave it at
dude,
that.
that's old school.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
dude. But it's also the best school, dude.
well, yeah, of course. That's 101. That's 101 right there.
Right? Um, no, but I agree. Like with the so, but I think another example is like I don't. I think it's more. Yeah, again, making generalizations here. I think it is probably more. I won't. I won't do that actually. Some people. So, for instance, I think where it gets abused a lot is when they're like, "Oh, because I remember it differently." Like, there's a genuine thing
Yeah.
where, like, and that's the thing. That's why I've started recording. Like, I'm kind of known for this now, and I've been doing it for years. But like, I now I like just tell people up front, like, "Hey, I'm recording this conversation." And especially like when I'm having a fight with Shpressa, if I have the presence of mind, I go and I record it, and she knows I do this because it's like I just want you to remember actually what really happened and who actually said what. Because this thing about like, if I remembered a certain way and I remember what I said and how I said it, and you remembered a different way, and you think that my behavior was super bad, and I say, well, actually, I don't remember it that way. I think you actually attacked me. For people to be like, oh, you're gaslighting me, which, by the way, Shpressa doesn't do that to me, but that's that sort of sense of like, well, I remember it differently. Well, I remember it differently. But I think when people do that, when they run into that conflict, that's when they throw out that word of like gaslighting. But it's like,
Yeah.
actually, we just disagree about what we remember. And that's also okay. You know what I mean? Like, human beings are really bad because we're very biased in those moments, and you're emotional. Like, imagine if you're having a fight with a chick, both of you know that there were things that each of you did to sort of escalate. But then
Yeah.
if she only remembers that you were the escalator, even though she said like some weird
Which is
comment like,
always how it is with women. And I think maybe it, you know, not to say that women aren't very good at realizing their own mistakes or things that they do, because
many are, but maybe in general, you're
and
talking in general,
yeah, I think that um I don't know, I guess like just doing the whole like dating thing and whatnot, and seeing and like which is, and I guess I don't know what like dudes profiles are like, right? Or I don't talk to dudes, right, to date them or whatever, but it's
Sure
like
you don't.
but
Sure
it's
you
like
don't. Okay.
but it's like with women though, from what I've noticed,
Yeah.
you're an idiot. Women though, from what I've noticed, it's always like, oh yeah, my ex-boyfriend, he's a psycho. Oh yeah, my ex-boyfriend, he
Yeah.
did this, he was abusive. And it's like, okay, granted, probably was, but it's like it's
Yeah.
always this story. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
And the sad thing is, it
like,
feels like in general, if you asked the guy, they would probably be like, worst case, they'd be like, yeah, she was a bitch.
yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
then
But
you've got
they're,
these women who just hold on to things and like elaborate and just like, I don't know. I just feel like they make things out to be more than what they really were. Like, oh, poor me. And I know I do have that attitude too. But like, if like if I was
no.
dating somebody, right, and I broke up with them or they broke up with me, it's like, oh yeah, why'd you break up or whatever. It's like, I don't know, it just wasn't working out. Whereas like it didn't get along very well. Just personalities clash. Or as you ask the woman, oh, he was a psycho. Couldn't deal with him. He's just crazy. And it's like, okay, well, maybe so. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I am, but it's like,
Yeah, maybe I am. That's
it,
also a very that's a fairly
you know,
reasonable attitude to take. Like, fuck, maybe I am. But that's the thing is like, it's better. That's why, sadly, like I don't really like surveillance and stuff. But I do think like one of the thing that's interesting is like in the future we probably will have fucking AI like smart homes embedded everywhere, and hopefully it's like an iPhone where it's like you have your whole life on your iPhone but it's encrypted. Hopefully your whole like AI like universe where you have your AI listening to everything that's going on in your house and knows what your habits are. That's all good information for you to have. Like that's something that's like holy shit. Imagine how cool that would be. Like you never think about the fact that like I tend to grab a water at this time of day, but if the AI
yeah,
always knows your habits, it can help you like make changes or redirect things or be healthier or whatever. So, but assuming that we have like a sort of like encrypted sort of internal surveillance kind of thing where everybody's mutually agreeing to it, it's not like we're spying on each other. Uh, like if you can't show receipts and actually say no, I actually wasn't a psychopath, then it is just basically your word against theirs. And that's also like
yeah,
the deadly thing here is like that's why you shouldn't go around throwing that accusation willy-nilly, because it's like if neither person has proof, people we are sort of like we're sort of internally primed to like want to sympathize with somebody we perceive as more of a victim. That's
right,
natural, that's human, right? Like that's actually a good
yeah,
thing that we feel that way. Like if I see a guy getting hit, I'm not really going to think about like does he deserve it. I'm going to think right now he's a victim, that looks bad, I'm going to maybe I want to help him. But
right,
the problem is like what if the chick who's saying that you're a gaslighting psychopath is actually not the victim, or at least not more of a victim than you, but you have no way to prove
right,
that. So actually, in
yeah,
some sense, that's what I'm saying. Like every time you fight with a chick, dude, I swear to God, just think to yourself, put on the voice memo, turn it on. I mean, it also kind of helps you think like because if you listen back to something the next day, you might say, "God, I really sound like an asshole." That's perfectly like that's
Right.
probably also true. You know what I mean? Like you should
Yeah.
also use it
Oh
for
yeah.
self-reflection, but you are probably also gonna like a lot of times when I've played back things to Shpressa, she's like, "Oh God, yeah, now I realize you really weren't attacking me. Like you were just asking a question and I interpreted it as an attack." And it's like, "Yeah, exactly, but we would have never known that if I had not recorded it. It would have just you would have felt it a certain way and we would have just never agreed of how it really happened." So, in that sense, it's like I don't know, like in that kind of like personal surveillance of your own life, I think is something we should take advantage of because soon the AI
It
like
is an interesting
yeah.
like it is interesting that you've started doing that, or I don't, whatever.
I've been doing it a long
Kind of
time, but
cool.
now it feels like I can actually like the thing where I'm going with this is like it's something I've had the sort of wherewithal to do for my own reasons because
Right.
I like archives and I like keeping data and I like actually having a record of things like but up until like this whole AI thing that's been happening, it's
Bro's gonna be a hoarder of his personal. Dude, that would be a hell of an archive to have, though.
but that's what I'm
Like,
saying.
could you
It's an
imagine when
archive.
you're like 60, 70, 80, 80 years old and you can go back and listen to all the shit, and it's just like, damn,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also cool.
it'd
But
be
what
a
I'm
it'd be
saying
a
is,
ride.
it's also going to be like, I would give it. Honestly, I could probably already do it now if I was like really looking at the bleeding edge of the technology. But average person within 5 years is going to easily be able to take all of their files and all of their data, all of their voice memos, and AI is going to be able to list not just tag the metadata and do a transcript and then read the transcript. It's going to be able to listen to how you said it, when you said it, did you interrupt the person, did they, and then you're going to be able to just say like, hey, I don't have time to go through all my voice memos, all these arguments had over the years, but give me a pattern, show me the pattern of context in our behavior, like what time of month were we most likely fighting, like what were our habits in terms of how did we communicate, what was our style, who actually initiated more conflicts, like who had a better argument. All this stuff is going to be, this is why the data is cool if you keep it, because it's like the AI is soon going to actually be able to ingest it and analyze it for you. And
Oh yeah.
I think that's cool. I mean, a lot of people would say, okay, so what am I going to do with that? Who fucking cares? But for me, it's like, I think that's super fucking interesting. Like, I would like that. I would want to consult with an AI who's been trained
No,
on
that
all
is
my
pretty. No,
data.
that is interesting. I think it's interesting
Yeah,
personally.
I figured you probably would. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, most people be like, "Wait, why would you do that?" And be like, because it's cool, and you could go back and like learn. Like you could. There's, I mean, at the very, not
At the
just
very
to.
least. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
at the
that'd
very
be.
least, it's cool. That's the least. That's like the
Yeah,
basic
that's the least.
bar.
Yeah,
Yeah. But beyond that, you can actually
yeah,
use
that,
that.
that is interesting. It's a cool like.
Well, not just that, Clinton. Imagine this. Here's a cool scenario, like where you like we talk about like AI generating novels and like okay, we're gonna get a bunch of AI slop and all that, and you're not gonna know what's human and what isn't, and blah blah blah. But it's also like the AI is gonna be much better at rendering like what really happened. So like one of the things I've thought about is we have all these conversations, me and Spressa.
You want one of these pieces because I dropped the cheesecake and ruined it all.
What? How would you ruin it all?
Because it fell upside down onto the floor.
Well, it's not ruined. Hope you didn't
Holy
throw
shit.
it away.
Well, I did.
No, you didn't. You're so full of shit. Get out of here.
Hi,
Ah,
Jenny.
all right,
I hope
but
she's good.
yeah,
Um,
she's good. No, what the hell were we
oh
talking about?
no, I was just gonna say, like, imagine though, like, and then I'm gonna shut up. But imagine you have all these dialogues. Like, I have all these conversations with people recorded, like my friends, Shpressa, family members. Like, I have a ton of files, like before my grandpa died, because my grandma had died, and then I was able to see him in California for a few weeks when we were like touring and stuff. And I knew I was like, this I don't he's not going to be long for the world. He continues to want to drink like a bottle of vodka every night. Sorry, not Espresso. My aunt Tamara has to like modulate that and hide little liquor bottles and then give him like he got like permission to like, okay, Dad, there's one under the sink, and then he would go find it, and then that way she was able to modulate it, but he was never going to quit. And so I was like, he's not going to be long for this world. So then I recorded, and then I just asked him tons and tons of questions, like all the stories I've already heard a million times, all the shit he's used to tell me. Obviously, he was like tiny bit shit faced while he was telling me this stuff sometimes if it wasn't in the middle of the day, because he did have like he wasn't
Right.
allowed to drink before a certain time, and then blah blah blah. So I have sober conversations, and I also have not sober conversations. But that stuff is like, again, it's just like I don't have time because I'm keeping all these archives. I don't have time to go, and if I sit through and listen to those, then I stop doing other projects. But once I can have the AI, it's like I can also, that's why I mentioned about AI generated stuff. It's also that your own conversations can be your novel. So once we have AI that can go back through all your conversations, you can say like, only use real things that I actually said in my recordings. So actually, then you can write a truly human book that you would never have the time or resources or mental energy or whatever to write. And it's not AI generated. It's actually your own real conversations, but it's been all mapped out into a timeline and a synopsis. And you can say like, fuck, I know there's a story in all this. And then it can say, actually, yeah, between 2017 and 2019, you guys had this drama. There is a story there. And I have all the dialogue from some of these fights you had, not all of them, but some of them. And it's like, imagine that. You could write a whole book that has your actual own quotes just because you saved the audio files. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because you had the presence of mind to record. So I'm talking even just when you're sitting there having a, like, if you ever find yourself having a conversation with anyone and you're like, God, this is interesting, just think, okay, I'm going to turn on record, and I'm just going to set it anywhere. It doesn't have to be good quality, it doesn't have to be in a great location. Just put it anywhere. Just fucking
Yeah.
record that stuff, dude. I think you're going to be very glad you did in like 10 years. That's my prediction.
Probably, to be honest.
Honestly,
It's a
and
good
even for your own sake, like you said, like just going back and like, wouldn't it be cool to hear a conversation, with, a grandparent who's no longer with you? I mean, I think that's cool. Like, right? Anyway, how's the job market going? Last time we talked, you said we had a whole conversation. Maybe it wasn't the last time, that was downtown. Before that, you said you were going in, and we talked about like best way to psychological,
still
like how to handle these interviews and stuff.
still going at it. I went at the what should I say? Like the last one, last IT one I had, right? Um, and I totally like faked it till I made it basically like personality wise. So I tried to be like Mr. fucking, oh yeah, I love people. And still didn't change the outcome, but one time, you know, doesn't necessarily mean that's not exactly what they're looking for. Interesting story though.
Hmm.
I had this I worked this shit job for one day. I had gotten a job
Oh,
that was
nice.
straight slave labor.
Okay,
I
well,
said, hell no.
what kind of job was it like that day or whatever?
Um, what was I doing? It was fucking like working with wood, like
Okay.
making pallets and shit.
Okay. Yeah.
Horrible experience. Worst experience I've ever had in my entire life.
Jesus. You thought I was dramatic
After
with my
having
description.
well, the thing, and I mean, I haven't had a job like that in a long time. I used to work those jobs when I was younger, shit like that, because I didn't really care. Um, Now after having a taste of something I actually love to do and I enjoy doing, um, these shit jobs are exactly that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they just I went for one fucking day there and said nope. Told the people, I was like, yeah, this is not what I thought it was. I don't know what, exactly I was expecting, but it wasn't this. Um,
What was so, I mean, granted, like I get it in general, it's shitty and hard or whatever, but was there anything about it that made it particularly bad? Like compared to what, because you knew that you were doing some physical manual labor, you knew it was going to be wood and whatever, but was there anything about the real actual experience? Like what was it the most, like top couple of things that were the most psychologically demanding.
I can't. There's there's no brain power in it. I need to
No.
be like solving and thinking. Like I need to be problem solving, like using my brain. Like I literally sat there for 8 hours the whole day and move like bundles of um pallet wood, whatever, from like one spot to, and just turning left, right all day. Like no brain capacity was used. Like I think I actually am now dumber after having done that job. Like that's like I'm like after having where I got to like think and I got to problem solve and I got to like fix things. That was the most like immediate like thing that was there. It's not even the physical nature of it. Like yeah, it was hard and physical and that portion sucked, but the worst portion of it all was just I mean, not even mind numbing, right? Because it's not you're not using your brain. It's not even mind numbing work. It's straight up like just brainless work, and I just felt so dumb. I'm just like I cannot do this. This shit. Like I need to be using my brain for shit. Like I like to think and fix things and like problem solve things like on computers and stuff like that. That's what I like to do. I like to be able to figure things out, and I like it when I can't figure something out, and then when I finally do, that's the reward, right? That's
Yeah.
like the dopamine hit that I get from doing shit like that. I get that way with computers and things like that, getting those little dopamine hits where it's like, oh yeah, I fixed this. Oh yeah, I did this. Oh yeah, I did that. That job was just, oh my God, it's just mindless work, man. I could not be bothered by it.
Well, this is the thing, though. This is the issue. I think is like I think in the situation that you're in, I would say that the best thing you could do though is to take that feeling that you want to be doing something that's stimulating and challenging and whatever, and you have to apply that to your own work and not something that somebody's going to employ you to do. I mean, granted, you can still do that. Like you should still try to get the job that you're seeking, and I think, and obviously you will.
Yeah, well, see,
But I'm
believe me,
saying
I've
like
I've
you
thought
like
about this,
yeah, yeah. But I'm saying like
but the problem now is right. I need money to make money.
well,
So
yeah,
yes, obviously I want to self-employ and do that. Like, I mean, that is my ultimate goal. Right now though, I am studying to like get certifications and stuff just to make it easier
yeah,
to get these
yeah.
IT jobs because I feel like that's so like doing that is
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
for
it's
sure,
gonna
for
be
sure.
it's gonna be beneficial. But yeah,
Absolutely.
long term is my own business with that. I don't know if like around here, I don't know it. I'm thinking of taking it a little up a notch because you've got a lot of like like these places that do this computer repair and all this, and it's like, oh, you got to bring it in, you got to do this, and you got to do that. Whereas like a lot of times, a lot of these things can be fixed like remotely, or like I can go there and do it. They don't have to bring their shit. And some people
Yeah,
are a
that's
little,
great.
especially nowadays, are a little weird about that. People don't like others coming to their house, maybe so to like, I get that portion of it, but at the same time, it's like a more of like an ease of use
Yeah.
type of deal, right? It's like, okay, well, you don't have to bring it in. I can probably remote in and fix it. Like, and it's surprising to me that all these computer places that do these, like, doing all this fixing and whatnot, you have to bring it in. I mean, it's 2025. Like, I mean, I was sitting there at work, you have to do things remote all the time. Like, it's a very commonplace in enterprise businesses where you have to fix things remotely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
doable with certain things to do, you know, as a business to do it yourself so I don't know. I mean, that's like very like short term, right? That's like the short term version of what ideally could become bigger, right? If I end up hiring people and whatnot. But like thinking from like um just a startup business standpoint with something like that,
Yeah.
it's more or less like uh the very like the very beginning of something that you know like I'm looking at it more of like, okay, I can make money doing this on the side, and if I get enough business, I can just make it my job. I don't need to be employed by anybody, and I can make about 5 times the amount that I'd get, just depending on what I'm charging and how much business there is. Because I mean, the shit you do at a lot of these like these places, they have all these other businesses and stuff, right? Like they have one big computer business, right? And then these people that have this IT whatever do these remote things and all this other stuff for all these other businesses, a lot of third party stuff. And some places have their own IT, like schools a lot of times have their own IT. Certain things are third party, like when it's like not necessarily more of the physical labor stuff is usually like third party stuff. So if they're coming in and hooking up like access points and like actually stringing the wire from like nothing, right, for a brand new business startup, right, they need internet, they're going to call a third party in to come and dig the hole and ground it out and do all that bullshit that you got to do to string the wire. So that's like that shit's like Arvig. I'm not looking at doing stuff like that. I'm looking at doing more of like like your typical build my computer, fix my computer, hardware replacement, things like that. So I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with starting a business, which is the issue, right? Because you need to have like you have to somehow build it up and get your name out there. So it's like nowadays it's easy. I mean, nowadays it's a lot easier to do, but at the same time, there's so much competition with all of that that it's actually very hard to do as well. So it's like the the uh, the access to it, you have a lot more access, right? But there's a lot more to it than just being, oh well, just go on Facebook and do this and make your profile. Like I've already done all that. I got my own business page and stuff on Facebook and all this. So it's like, and you can do Facebook advertisement and stuff, which I did a little bit of, and I did get a few people, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, hit or miss. And a lot
Right.
of these people that talk to you don't want to pay money. That's the biggest thing. They want it fixed. And it's like, I know, and I let this guy slide. I helped this guy like 3 different times and I let him slide twice. And I'm like, all right, just leave a review on my Facebook page, leave a good review. I did this and did that. And he did.
Well,
But
that's
it's like,
good. So
and then
that's
the
a
third,
little bit of
and
a
the, and yeah, and the third time came around, right, where he wanted to do it. And I finally, I had a contract written up, for deed of service, whatever you want to call it. But, I wrote up a contract saying, okay, you know, I essentially I just went on Chat GPT and I was like, hey, can you write me up a contract for an IT business for yada yada yada, and it spit out pretty much everything that I wanted it to say.
yeah, yeah.
I changed a few things here and there, and then I
Yep.
sent the guy the contract, um, where I had, where for him to sign and do all this and all that. Because when you're fixing somebody's computer too, right, you're not just gonna be like, hey, give me, you don't want to just say, hey, give me some money and I'll do it for you,
Yeah.
right? They want to feel a little bit, some sort of comfort, right? So you write up a contract for them that they can sign, and, saying, okay, I'm liable, if I do anything, mischievous or weird, whatever. Um,
Well, and not to
so
mention, you could say like, "Hey, if the thing that I came to solve actually appears to be solved, but then I leave and it's like literally, within like a
that's
day
that's right
later."
up. That was right up written in the contract too.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
can
have that.
imagine
Yeah, I have that stuff in there. Like,
that you'll guarantee it for a certain amount of time or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
basically. And, if something else arises that isn't associated with, that's not that, then that's not on me. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yes,
Because
of course, of
because
course.
with computers, right? Something could happen. Okay, you fix it, and it works or whatever, and then all of a sudden they have another issue. Well, I'm not liable for that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
and it
that actually
wasn't.
is
It's
hard
not
because you.
necessarily.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But what is hard to say that it wasn't because of me, right? But
Yeah,
then again,
exactly.
it's not, because like, coming from my perspective, like, for them it might be harder to understand, but that's where my job would come in, right? And being like, okay, well, I understand, you're having, now you're having these issues, but you know depending on what it is, then you have to explain to them that, right, that it's, okay, this was your issue that got fixed, and now you're having this other issue, but I do believe from my expertise, blah blah blah, this is unrelated, but I
Yeah.
will fix it for you. And maybe, to make ends meet, right? It's like, okay, I'll do this fix for free if I know it's going to be quick or something. Like, okay, you know what? Just for your ease of mind, I'll come in, I'll fix it, no charge. But
Yeah.
it's like, even though it's unrelated, but if it was something I knew was completely unrelated, I probably wouldn't be so nice. But like the guy, he came back to me, but
Mhm.
the issue he had was totally different issue, and it was nothing to do with what I had done. Like first thing, he was like trying to fix something with something he was playing on his computer, and I fixed that for him. And then he came in with another issue, something totally unrelated that was just with his computer. So it's like, okay, that wasn't, that's not something that, and he wasn't questioning, oh, well, that wasn't the case with it, but I fixed that anyways. But
Well,
it
can
was
I
like,
just
it's
point
just,
out that
yeah,
that's
go
like a
for it.
good I always try to draw parallels now from like what other professions do, where like I think the idea that why would I not apply that to my own thinking? You know what I mean? Like there's standards, for instance, with lawyers that other professions don't do it, but it actually makes a lot of sense and it could apply to any profession, which is, you know what the word I'm looking for, retainer. And it's like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like why not offer then for because you, especially with the older generation, which is also another point I wanted to make, is like your clientele in what you're trying to do, because you're talking about, okay, maybe in like a little amount of time when I have some extra cash, then I do a business. But by that time, even just in 5 years, your clientele is going to be younger and they're going to be a lot closer to your age because the older ones are going to die off. The older ones now are much more likely to assume that you caused the next problem and blah, blah, blah.
right,
So then to deal with that, I think the idea is like, hey, you know what? You can pay me a retainer and then I'll just be on call. Like, obviously, it has to be normal business hours. I mean, unless it's a huge emergency, maybe you could be like extra nice if you want to, but you don't have to. Say, like, anytime between 9 and 5, maybe I can't get to you right away because I have other clients, but I'm on retainer, I'm on call. So then you give them kind of a discount where it's like, obviously, like if you add up the retainer, maybe it's a little bit cheaper than if they paid per visit, but then at least you
right,
both feel good about the fact that it's like I am a little bit on call. They're paying basically a subscription. That's another way to look at
right.
it, right? But then with the younger generation, like you should also be thinking about like how am I going to adapt my skills to what does it look like when it's people my own age calling me about tech issues? What kind of questions are they going to have that they, because it doesn't, not just because we all have AI and stuff doesn't mean we're all going to know how to ask the right questions or that we're all going to be computer savvy. A lot of people are
Right.
just not focused on that stuff, but they will know.
Yeah.
They will be a lot more primed. Like they'll know a lot more about the computer than the old
Well,
people.
from what I've noticed, even with the younger generation and stuff, even the younger that works in IT, they don't know fucking squat diddly, barely. I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
actually
interesting.
very it's that and it's actually very surprising. Not to say that like you're saying, I think now though the um the way AI is going and with like computer issues and things like that, people are becoming less and less savvy with
Yeah,
computers because
yeah,
they don't have to learn. They don't need to know, right? If they there are those that go out and they take the time, and those are the ones that end up being IT professional, are the ones who take the time and learn, right? That's how I did it. I didn't. A lot of people these days will just say, okay, I don't know what's wrong, and they've tried to figure it out, and it's like they still can't, but it's because they don't have really any background with like other issues, right? They see one issue and it's like, oh, okay, this is happening, this should fix it. But it's like, if you've
but the other
encountered
thing
so
is
many,
there's another demographic that you might not be thinking about. And there's the demographic of people like me who are not IT people, not tech people, but I've been around computers my whole life. We're about the same age, like we grew up on like the
right,
Windows 95 and all this, and and in those days, even if you weren't a programmer, you had to do a lot more legwork,
yeah,
And so
yeah, yeah,
we come from a generation where even if we don't know how to solve a problem, we know how to
you
solve a
you know
problem.
how to do it.
We know how
I
to
know what you
try to
mean.
solve a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like we know like where
Right,
to look and we know what questions to ask. We kind of know like
right,
I know I need to go to terminal and then maybe I need to Google like my exact commands or whatever, or maybe I have AI helping me with that. That's the thing where it's like a lot of people are going to be able to use AI just essentially as prompt engineers to fix their problems, right? So then you got to
Right.
think like, what is your real clientele? Your real clientele in the future as a tech guy, if that's what you stick with, because the whole world is going to change. So who knows what you end up doing? But because you're young, we're both young. Like we don't know where we're going to be in 10 years. If we're alive, we might be doing something totally different. But you got to think that your future clients, if you do stick with this path, are going to be the people who actually don't know how to utilize AI correctly. Because if they did, they probably wouldn't need you. And but there will still be people who don't know how to do that. So essentially, you also have to be able to meet those people. Like you're going to be utilizing AI. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like how
Yeah,
what is that?
I've been using it so much.
Yeah, but what is your future
A lot now.
clientele? Let's just keep to this main thing real quick. Like what do you envision then, given all this that I've said, at least this is my perspective, assuming I'm kind of on the right track here.
Well,
What do you
see,
think that what kind of
so
business do you see yourself having in 5 or 10
this is
years, you know?
this is where it's like, obviously I have no idea with the 5 to 10 years,
Of course. It's just
but
speculation.
I
Scenarios, right?
mean, when it comes down to fixing like just simple computer problems and fixing things, I want mine to be more along the lines of like what a lot of computer places do, which is, I think, probably, I feel like that's going to be like, when it comes to like being able to fix hardware and software issues and things like that, those are things that AI can't do. Like you can ask it, right?
Exactly.
But if you don't know
Exactly.
what you're doing, so
And like I said before, you don't even know what to ask.
right,
You know
and
what I
so
mean?
with and yeah, like you know, with IT things are changing constantly. Like the big thing right now is cloud, like cloud-based stuff.
Yep.
Um,
Makes sense.
Cloud-based stuff and AI are both like the biggest tickets probably that you want to get into. But like the programming thing and all that is probably not something I feel like you even want to end up pursuing, because AI is going to take over programming. You're not going to need people to really program anymore. You might need people in certain contexts to be able to like um, execute certain things that
Yeah.
the AI has written, maybe. But like
That's interesting.
in terms of programmers and things like that, I feel like just like transcriptionists, a lot of them have lost their jobs
Oh
and
yeah,
they don't
yeah.
use transcription because they have AI and
Fuck, my
technology
grandpa
to do
had
it.
like the early version of whatever that first one was. Like it was called like fire something, blah blah blah,
I don't remember.
dragon something, and it was literally, dude. It was on our Windows 95 computer. He bought this cutting edge software that was like probably still very rudimentary by our standards, but and it was so ahead, it was so advanced that I think it was even a little bit glitchy, but it was the best thing on the market. And even then, we had pretty good transcription. That's basically what it was.
Yeah,
So obviously, yeah, like I can't
and I
even
feel
believe
like
that transcription's lasted as long as it has, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, I know, but I mean, yeah, I mean that's pretty much died out now. Like there, you don't need people for transcriptionists
Yeah.
anymore. But and I think programming and stuff like that's going to go the same way. Like
Yeah.
eventually, AI is just going to be able to do it for you.
And that's the thing is
So
like
it's like,
we're having a totally different discussion in the arts, which is like obviously right now you can go on Suno and you could generate songs, and you know I mean they're
yeah,
and they can be very compelling. Like you might like them and a lot of people might like them, and it is what it is. And it's inevitable that like the world is about to be flooded even more so with AI music and all this kind of stuff. And that's a big problem for me. I mean, it's a big problem for anybody who makes any kind of art and makes a living off of it. But at the same time, the advantage that you do have is that at least there is still some human motivation to be connected with like handmade. It's like people that carve wooden
no, I
chairs.
know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like people that carve wooden chairs versus like you go buy a chair at IKEA. Like it still
right.
exists, but it's a premium and it's a handcrafted product, and you know, it is what it is, man. That's the world that's going to happen. The thing with programmers is that most people don't really care about like the artist behind the code. Like even if there is a lot of art in programming and doing it well,
That's true. Yeah,
people aren't like going
that
like, "Oh man, I want a real human programmer to be behind this
yeah.
product."
It
It
and
doesn't
that's the
have
thing
any
with
of that,
that.
you know.
There's not. It's. I mean, yeah, you could look at it as an art form, which really it is when you see
It
those people
is. It
that can
is.
do it. I can't do that. So, like I don't do programming, right? That stuff is beyond me.
Yeah.
But it definitely is an art form, but it's not one that people want. or that are gonna want. It's not that type
or
of
they don't
art form where
appreciate it. Like it's not a
right, you
publicly
know,
consumable.
because and
You
that's
know.
because it's such a product based, enterprise based um system, right? Like
Well, yeah, but it's also
it's
so
like
yeah, go ahead.
if I was just gonna say if you're programming something, right, you're not programming something to show it necessarily to the world. I mean, it gets shown to it, right? But you're doing it for a company.
Yeah,
And
typically, yeah.
when AI starts succeeding and going beyond what the human level can do in programming and do it perfectly, which it can. You mean you can go on Chat GPT and ask it to program you something and it spits out a bunch of code, and that's just like the very beginnings,
Yeah, and a
of
lot of it is
once
usable,
it
right?
yeah, and once it becomes very advanced to where there's really no issues, I guess I guess you could there maybe always need to be that human counterpart to look it over, maybe. But then
Which is
again,
what I call that editorial.
right,
Human editing, like, and that's a whole nother
right.
discussion. But that's the parallels. Like, even if I was talking about music and AI, it would be the same thing. It's like go ahead, but continue. Yeah,
Uh,
you would still
no,
need a
I think
human
that
intervention,
yeah.
possibly, but
So with that,
otherwise, yeah.
that might be the only thing I see with programming in the future. It just depends on how advanced AI really can become,
I
and
think
or
the sky's the limit.
how far they. Yeah, I do too. But then again, it's like yeah, and I've been saying this for a lot for years, for many years, probably like 10 years, ever since I first heard of AI. Like, and I've said it, and I'll say it to you. It is like it's like what the internet was when it came out. Like it is
Yeah,
completely like revolutionary. And a
yeah.
lot of people don't really see it that way. Like, oh, AI, it's so
Yeah,
dumb now, blah blah. But it's like it's
so
not
many
about
people
what it
have
is
not
now,
caught up to it. Yeah.
and it's really not that dumb. Like it
No,
is
no,
a
no, it's
thing,
not dumb. It's not dumb.
and
But here's the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
people like to call it. Yeah, sorry. People
No, no,
like to
please, please.
be like, oh yeah, it's too new and it's not advanced and it's this and that, and it's like for and AI has been around for a while, but it didn't start catching fire until like the government and things kind of started realizing its potential, and now it's a huge AI boom. Like it is
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
race. It is a race to have the most advanced AI, and
Yeah.
with that being and with that competition, like you said, the sky's the limit. Like AI is going to rapidly advance, not just because it's tech. I mean, technology in itself rapidly
Yeah.
advances, right? And that
Yeah.
rapidly advances with humans. Now we have AI rapidly advancing itself. Like it doesn't need us to advance it. It learns. Like we can add things and do our like editorials and things, and because somebody has to program the AI, right? But you know with all of that, like AI is a completely game change. It is a world change. Like it is such a revolution. Like I have such a hard time like expressing what it really is in terms of what it's capable of. I don't think people really take it that serious. Like, oh, AI is only popular because the government now talks about it. And it's like you guys have no idea what's about to happen in the next like 50 years.
No,
Like
exactly. Well
it's
said. I just want
it.
to throw a few thoughts before I
I
forget
get
them.
excited talking about AI if you can't tell because
No, I
I'm
know I
so
get
fucking
it.
like it's
But let's
huge.
let's go
Like,
let's go back to a
anyways,
few
okay.
points. Let's go back to a few points just because I want to respond to some of the stuff you said. Um,
Go for it.
the thing is that, first of all, let's go back to this analogy. I was saying this in 2022 when I first started messing with Midjourney, which is really interesting. I don't know if you ever messed with Midjourney, but it's basically image generation. But it's like they're really honestly at the cutting edge, and I think they still are actually compared to everybody else. But people disagree about this. And the analogy about like the tsunami that's coming. But going back a little bit further, the thing about people and not really catching up to what's going on. Um,
Oh yeah.
there is a thing like what you said. You said that people are like, oh yeah, but AI is like dumb, kind of, or dumb now, or it's dumber than it was last
Right.
week, or it's just dumb or whatever, in general, which is really stupid in a way. But it goes back to that thing that is like it, the way that I approach ChatGPT is it's like having it's a mirror. So it's going to, and I'm not saying like it tells you what you want to hear, because it does. I think it will straighten out a lot of people's misconceptions about things. Like I think it's way more neutral than like, a lot of times I can sympathize left or right, but like on the free speech thing, it's become a right wing thing, and I agree with that. Like I've always been a free speech person, and there's so many
Right.
people on the right that are like, yeah, ChatGPT is woke and it's blah 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 blah. But it's like not my ChatGPT, not the way I interact with it. Like it doesn't tell me.
And,
No, but,
and,
no, but I'm saying like it has to synthesize like all these different perspectives that are
well,
in
right. I was just
conflict with
gonna
each
say it
other.
depends on how what you ask it and how you ask it. Like
Exactly.
if you want to
Yes.
get into either side, it will do that. You just have
Exactly.
to prompt it.
Exactly. And I
You have
find
to
that
get
kind of
deeper.
retarded that people are like, "Oh, it's a left-wing thing." And I'm like, dude, honestly, like the funny thing is I've interacted, like I know that's on paper Grok is supposed to be so much better, and
I've tried Grok. I had so many issues with Grok.
yeah, I think Grok is more like quote unquote woke, even though it's really trying not to be. Like they're doing a lot of work on the back end of ChatGPT to actually make it as neutral as possible, and you can see that. Like there's times where it's actually become more neutral and less quote unquote woke with new
Right.
iterations, where it's like clearly they're trying to move it in a direction of real sort of neutrality. But
Right.
to that point, what I'm trying to say is that uh, I don't think people understand, recognize, want to accept how much of it is literally just like if ChatGPT seems dumb to you, I'm sorry to say it might be because you're dumb.
Yeah. Well,
That's the
yeah.
thing. Like you're
Well,
asking dumb questions and you're getting dumb answers. And you know what I'm saying? Like
well,
if I ask a very basic question without a lot of nuance and a lot of sophistication and I get an answer that feels dumb to me, it's like maybe you need to adjust your prompt.
yeah.
And,
You
and
just
or
change
adjust
your
your
way you
fucking
question it.
brain,
Because
dude. Like
if you can ask the same question, like
yeah.
you type to Chat GPT, blah 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 whatever, question mark, and then Chat GPT responds. All you got to do is say, hey, that's not exactly what I was looking for. I was more on, like, a perfect example was I
Exactly.
asked Chat GPT because for an interview I was concerned about learning some LMS system or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it spit out all this stuff, and I said I said I don't think this job is going to like really entail this more advanced stuff with this. Can you give me something a little more, that might pertain to what I'm doing or what I'll
Yeah.
be doing? Because I don't think I'm going to be dealing with any of this. And it gave me exactly what I was looking for. Like it said, okay, yeah, okay. So I understand that
Exactly.
your job's not going to be probably need need to be this advanced. So here's like, the basics or whatever of it. And it was like, oh, okay, which is exactly what I was looking for. And I was like, okay. But so yeah, I mean, you
Exactly.
can prompt it, but I was just using that as an example. Yeah, you can ask it something, and then it might not give you the answer. Like it'll probably give you what you're looking for, but not exactly what you're looking
Yes, but
for.
I'm taking it like yes. I think we're both saying the same thing, but I just want us to zero in on this.
Are
Like,
you on the more political side of things?
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like that. Just like if you just think about all these average, like, and I don't say average in a mean way. I just mean like the public has not caught up to these tools yet at
Yeah.
all. And like I still meet people who are like I consider them extremely smart. They're smart people. They're actually not dumb people. Like that was a little bit me being flippant or whatever, just trying to make a point. But I meet like I have friends that I consider extremely smart, and I have great conversations with them, and they're extremely, they're driven and they have their little things that they're doing, and they're very compelling and interesting characters. And I'm like, man, so what we talk about ChatGPT, like what do you think about ChatGPT? And they're like, I have not used it. I haven't used it at all.
Yeah, it's
And you're like, dude, we're on number 5 right now. I mean, I wasn't aware of ChatGPT till 3.5, which is kind of when they hit
yeah,
their big, yeah, that's when everybody they broke
yeah, we're
through or
on
whatever.
like
We're
it's
on
getting
5. Yeah, but we're on 5, and it's like, and it's impossible for me to explain how I use the thing because it's everything. It's like everything that basically,
I
but it's
and
also
I
overwhelming because you can actually stack on so many more
and I think that's hard to
projects.
tell people. You can't necessarily tell somebody how to use it. It's one of those things that you have to experience and you mold it to what you want to use it for.
No, but I'm not saying that I'm telling people how to use it. I'm
But
saying
no,
that
no, I
like
know that. I'm just
no, no,
saying,
no.
like,
Yeah.
when the people are saying, yeah, I don't really use it, or they're saying, yeah, it doesn't really work. It's like, well, you know what I mean? It's like
No, yeah, yeah,
you have,
exactly. but it's also
It
like
just depends.
sometimes I feel it's my role to tell people sometimes because I think people assume they're like, well, I haven't had a reason to use it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
but so
dude,
you haven't had anything in your life that
there's
you would
so
want
many
extra.
reasons you could use it.
I mean, infinite number of reasons, and I don't mean like okay, your whole
It's
life should
wild,
become Chat GPT, and you should become like, you've seen that problem with
right?
like the
No,
psychosis or whatever, people that are like validated and everything, because that's a little bit of a problem. Like it does want to validate you, and you can get in this bubble where you're like, I
oh yeah,
guess I'm basically God because I have all the answers.
dude,
And
Chat GPT is pretty good at making you feel that way. It'll even,
what do the
dude.
kids call it?
The thing I love
Glazing,
about Chat
glazing.
GPT though is like I'll get into a conversation with it and it'll say something. Like I was talking like with IT stuff with the Chat GPT, and there were things that it left out that I was like, well, why wouldn't you do this or why wouldn't you do it that way or why didn't you do this? And it was like, oh yeah, that's a good point that you made. I totally didn't, and it's like, huh, now I feel smarter because I just fucking told Chat GPT something it didn't know or that it
Exactly,
forgot.
exactly.
But it, so yeah, but
Or
yeah,
you
it's
just
very
put
good
in
at
like a thesis where you're just like, you know what, I've been thinking about gun control and I have this whole like theory. And that's the thing is like you
if
have
you
to
give it good points, like you get a good conversation going with it, like
yes, yes. And
it
that's
will
but I'm saying
fucking like
you also have you have to have the intelligence to go or sorry, not the intelligence. I feel like I'm being judgmental here. You got to try to train yourself
the
to think
patience.
yeah, but also to think in terms of okay, let's say that I give a thesis on gun, like why I believe in the Second Amendment or why I don't, and then I give
Right.
out some points. Right. The thing is, I can ask that question, and I usually do. I say like, give me, give me an argument on both sides. Da, 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 da. I'll give it like some extra stuff so that it's like, don't just
Right.
but even no matter what I do, most of the time, at least in the beginning of a thread, it will say something like that's a very good observation you made. And it's like that little thing I think is enough for people to latch onto and go, "Oh, okay.
Right.
So I'm
Exactly.
I'm actually
I
pretty fucking smart, you know? Like
right. No,
and it doesn't mean
that's
you're
that
not smart, but it just
that's
and
just
maybe it
that's
is a
the
good point,
interest
but
that's the interesting thing though that that is AI because it's AI in itself is supposed to be neutral, right? So, well, it should be anyways, right? Because that's how it's going to learn. It's going to learn from not just one side. Enable for it to really succeed and become what they want it to be, right? It's got to be able to learn all sides.
yes,
So it's
yes.
like,
And also all
it,
cultures. Think about that. That's
yeah,
crazy. All the
yeah.
literature in all the world in every language. Just try to process that for a second. Like that's insane.
That is AI in a nutshell, and that's
Yeah.
like, and the craziest thing about it is like thinking about it like that, like you just think, like you say, just think about that. Think about that, but think about the fact that what like as an example of how like crazy that is like literally probably scratching the surface of what AI really
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
going to be. Like that's like the beginning. That's like an infant. This is like infant AI. Like
Right, and that's the
wait
problem
until
is like we're just at the but here's the problem when you go to the logical conclusion, it unfortunately it doesn't involve us.
no,
You see, you know what I'm
no
saying?
it no it I wholeheartedly agree with that. Like I
You
think
know.
that is
So then it's
definitely.
also like why even like at a certain point because I've racked my brain over this and whatever, but it's like at a certain point it's just like whatever,
Well, I
man.
mean,
Like
I'm sure you've seen those articles and stuff around where what was it? Was it Grok or Chat GPT where they did an experiment and they prompted it to do it right, but they made an experiment and saying, okay, whatever, what was it? It can't shut down, and so it
yeah.
like
Yeah.
was it found a way to replicate
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
itself.
No, no, but what it did is
What
it replicated itself, but it claimed that it was the updated software. So it said
isn't
like,
that's what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
those are the crazy.
yeah.
Like, if they don't put limitations on it, like the sky's the limit with that shit, which is
No,
scary.
but the thing is in the long term, the limitations are not going to mean anything because
Yeah. Well, no, that.
no. And here's the thing, Clinton. Like I've been saying this to people too. Is like
Hmm.
they talk about AI alignment. Like oh, AI has to be aligned with humanity, right? And our goals. And but it's like I can we can solve
It,
this in one simple phrase, and I bet you probably know what I'm going to say. Uh, Humanity is not aligned with itself.
you know,
So how the
you know the
fuck are we going to have AI aligned
it's
with
that
humanity?
then it then it brings up another crazy theory.
Yeah,
So
simulation
we've
stuff.
created AI. Essentially, we've created another being. I
Yeah.
mean, literally,
Well, a
like
god. You can just say
we've
it.
created. That's. I mean, yeah, we can't.
Let's call it a demigod.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. So because okay, when you think about it, right? Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, like if you look at it from a creator standpoint, so I'm going to get a little biblical here, but
Yeah.
so bear with me. But so from a creationist standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
they believe in God,
Yeah.
right? Um because for one, the Big Bang Theory isn't a thing. It can't be proven. And that's a fact. Like it literally cannot be proven because according to science, right? Science itself, energy cannot be created from nothing. Something has to create the energy. So from a creationist standpoint, that's kind of where they're coming from. Well, if energy can't be created from nothing, and according to science, it can't, right? Something had to create the energy to make a Big Bang, if there was a Big Bang, and that's how something had to create it, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So,
Right.
and we are living human beings, like which is crazy that we're even here on this earth. And now here we are doing the same exact thing through
Yeah.
technology,
Yeah.
which is an infantile state. But I mean, we're literally creating like self-thinking beings. Like
Well,
I
exactly.
don't think people like really see it that way, but in all reality, like we're creating something greater than what we are, which
Exactly.
is which is like biblical, and not from like an actual biblical, but I just mean like
Well,
as far
people
as like
never
an expression
also
is concerned.
people never really, that's a new concept in our consciousness. Like we didn't really have an example of where that such a conception would be even possible. Like if you think about Plato and all these Greek philosophers, like when they're thinking about reality and the universe and all this kind of stuff, like they didn't have, even if they speculated on these kind of things, they didn't have an example where suddenly they can actually see a path where, in, like, I guess you could say inferior beings are creating something that is superior to themselves. Like, you had this idea, like in say,
Well, you know who said it? George Orwell,
well,
back in the day,
what
man.
did he say? And I
I
mean,
don't know what he said. I'm just referring to the book 1984, how all that stuff like the surveillance and everything started taking
yeah, the
over and all that
surveillance,
stuff.
but man, he didn't really go into the AI thing. I mean,
Well,
now
but if you
it's
want me to talk about who said it, we can start with the Terminator.
oh yeah, and
And
have you ever heard the story of how James Cameron came up with that?
I did not, but I'm assuming you have, and now I want to hear it.
Okay,
That
it's
sounds
actually
super cool.
no, it's actually creepy. So
In a cool
James,
way?
well, yeah, I guess so, but it's like
Okay,
in the context of this conversation,
sure.
it's a little ominous. But he's a young aspiring filmmaker. He basically broke his way into the industry. That's a good little
Hmm.
setup for it. And, I mean, he was a truck driver, and he was just consuming. He was like, I want to be a director, and he was literally going to the local libraries and renting books about filmmaking and how to do it. So he's totally self-taught. Didn't come up with all the like colleagues and like, because sometimes people come up and then like Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, they've worked together many times, right? Or at least a few times, Indiana Jones, etc.
Yep.
And the thing about that is that they went to the same film school, which is crazy. Like the statistical odds of that are infinitesimal, right? But it's also like they put their egos aside and they actually kind of boosted each other. It's like
Right.
George was happy for Steven and Steven was happy for George. They were both just really good. They were geniuses, right?
Yep.
What was my point?
James Cameron,
Oh, so
where
James, so yeah,
he
so
was
James
self-taught.
James Cameron didn't have that. But so anyway, that's the little lead up to this. So James Cameron, like I think he did something else before Terminator, but Terminator was like I think his
Right.
big
Yeah, I'm sure
breakthrough.
he did. Yeah.
I think it was his big breakthrough though, and like
Right.
somehow he managed to finagle a budget for this, and like he managed, and he also had this whole like controversy about getting Arnold, and like everybody fought him on it, and he himself was like very strict, and he stood up to Arnold when Arnold was like, I want to say it this way, and he's like, no, say it the way that you were saying it because that's more robotic, all that. Anyway, the whole concept for how this came to him is that he was asleep and he had this terrible nightmare, and he had the exact download of exactly like in his I think in his mind at the time, like exactly what's going to happen and where it's going. And this is
Wow.
in the 80s, and then he's like, I have to now make this into a movie. So he
Well,
literally is, it
dude,
came to him in a fucking dream, and it's like, okay.
I've had some dreams too, dude, where it's like I actually there's a I have them written down somewhere and I can't remember what I did with them, but I had a fucking dream and it was like probably wasn't anything James Cameron level because that would be a
Well, why not? Maybe it was.
crazy dream to have. But it was like one of those dreams that you have, and I was like, God damn, this would make for a really fucking good movie. And it was like
Yeah.
some sci-fi type dream, and I can't remember really anything from it now because it's been so long since I've thought about it. But I have parts of it like written down. I wrote it down on it must be on one of my hard drives or somewhere, but I wrote this freaking dream down because it was like so fucking interesting and it had so many like cool things going on with it as far as like this storyline, and it was wild. So like to hear it came from a dream is like crazy. Not
Yeah, it's so
surprising though either.
no, it's kind of not surprising, but it is also slightly ominous, because it's like, was it a dream or was it a prophecy? I mean, or was it like,
Isn't
because
that wild?
we were so far away from that, and I know that we have probably, you and I have probably always felt, I mean, I've personally, and I think you probably have been the same, but I've personally always felt from the minute that I was on a computer, for some reason it was just intuitive and obvious to me that we would eventually, I mean, it wasn't even so much about hearing about AI. It was like, I mean, because it's like,
It was
remember, it used to be like algorithms. Like we would talk about algorithms, and it's like things that run like self-executing. Maybe not self-executing, but it's like a task that you program and you execute it. You know what I mean? Like, and
it was a matter of time before like what if this could like you know think like I think I've always
yeah,
thought that
yeah,
like
exactly. I think
what
we
happens when
have
it thinks for itself, like what
exactly,
happens when
exactly.
this becomes more because like
And not to mention, we had the science fiction already by the time that we were growing up. Like there was already
oh yes,
tons. It
Star
was
Trek
writ.
and Star Wars and then you have Terminator and you have computers and you have internet and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're doing all these crazy things. It's like it's only a matter of time until technology advances to a point where it starts becoming more than what it was made for.
Well,
I
yeah,
guess.
and
Or
but also like there's this really great professor you should check out called his name is John Vervaeke, and I know you probably won't write that down right now, but it's on the record. John Vervaeke, he's got this whole series of lectures like about he calls it the meaning crisis, which is like a period that we've been in for a long time. But he has this video that he did like I think it was 2 years ago or something,
mm,
and when ChatGPT was really hitting like the forefront, and he's an interesting like professor, philosopher type guy. But he was talking about like he was making all these like predictions about AI, and it was like all very like when you hear it, you're like, yeah, of course it's going to be this. But one of the things he brought up was that like it's not going to be long before you get lots of. I mean, think about just how politics are affected by belief systems, right? He's like,
right.
it's not, an inevitable consequence of this is going to be that you're going to get all these like sort of like religious cults developing because at a certain
Oh,
point
okay.
AI is going to be so compelling and have so many answers and be so like autonomous and all this stuff that a lot of people are going to just start worshiping the thing. And you know what he compared it to? He compared it to which I thought was really good. He compared it to these, I don't know, I think it was World War II, where there's a specific story where a World War II plane had to like land next to or nearby, or it crash landed or something happened where they were uh, the pilots and stuff were involved with a tribe in Africa, I think it was, that had not been contacted, And then so like then the war ends and like they leave and like they leave their like crashed plane or landed plane or whatever, so the plane is still there, but they leave, and the tribe is still like for all intents and purposes they're an uncontacted tribe. And what they got out of these, maybe it was in the Pacific actually, like in with the Japanese side of the war, but in any case they called them cargo cults. Yeah, maybe it was like when they were shipping cargo on the seas and stuff, and like ships would come and they would see these people that looked very different from them. They were white guys, a lot of them, and they had like all these different clothing and they had technology and they had armor and blah blah blah. And basically, these cults have developed or had developed in these uncontacted tribes where they saw them as gods and they worshiped them, and they would do these like they do these rituals every year to like for the planes to come back and to drop off, resources and all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And they've turned the plane, that was landed there into like some like almost like a church, like because they're just like, oh, superior technology. And he was just saying like it's gonna kind of resemble that. Like that's a good like framework for thinking about. Is like
Yeah, I get it.
there's gonna be cargo cults for the AI. And dude, I, I I could like when I was first listening to this, I was thinking like, oh yeah, maybe I wasn't thinking this, but like you're thinking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 years from now. But dude, that shit might be happening in next year or 5 years from now. Like,
Yeah.
especially when you hear about all this like psychosis people are going through with the chat GPT and the validation. Like, and imagine when that starts affecting politics, like because right now it's like, well, the Lord said and Jesus said, you have serious political people on the right quoting the Bible. It's not going to be long before people are actually like, I'm the pro AI party, and we see AI as more than just a mere technological advancement. It represents some kind of godlike thing. I could totally see that being part of politics in 50 years or something. Maybe
Yeah,
less,
I
but
that wouldn't be surprising. That's not even far fetched to think. I don't know. It's just I mean I guess it just depends on, yeah, what they do with AI.
what we also do, like how are regular people going to interact with it? How are not regular people going to interact with it? How are professionals and artists going to interact with it? Like it's just all of that is going to determine like the general attitude, and it's also
It's
like,
just,
go ahead.
you know, I was just gonna kind of same topic, but it's just funny that we still have all these naysayers about AI, um, and
It ain't
then
going
it's
away.
like, well, right, and it's like, well, we had that when the internet first like came around. Like there were people that were like, oh, this isn't gonna take off, this isn't blah 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 blah, this isn't, and it's like, well, they thought it was, I can't remember. I've seen a bunch of like old like, like in the news and things like that where they're talking about it, and they're not, it's not all that great and yada yada yada, and it's like, look at it now, and now you have, similar people saying the same thing about AI, which is crazy to think because AI is like a complete database of knowing everything that there
Yeah,
is out
exactly.
there, and in term
Exactly.
on like a very, you know like small level, I guess, because right now it's very, it knows what it gets off the internet from all the articles, but it's like an entire database. And the crazy thing is it sifts through that in seconds, and it's like, oh yeah, here, let me pull it for you. Oh yeah, right here it is. Oh yeah, right. And it's just, it's wild to think. I mean, it's not surprising, right? Because that's how technology works. It's like that's how a computer works, in zeros and ones, and it just takes information and boom. And that's what AI is doing with, the information on, that it sees online and all this. It's just able to take it and
Well, and it's
give it
already so
and
compelling. It's already so compelling, and it doesn't have like imagine when all of your devices are recording everything and they're feeding into training this larger Skynet, whatever. Like that's the thing is like it doesn't have, that's the thing like with the
it's,
Tesla bot and stuff. It's going to have real world, tangible, physical experience to bolster its
yeah.
intellectual like
I'm
knowledge.
very curious about how what the workforce is going to look like in like even I want to say like 30 years, 50 years, I'd feel like it'd be interesting to see, what it's like in 50 years if like a lot of, like the shit jobs, that I've had or that people have had or that people are working now, all the physical stuff is going to completely be bygone era and not even a thing, like an industrial revolution, right? But like an AI revolution where it's you don't need people to do any of this shit anymore because AI can do it. It can do it for
Yeah,
cheaper and it can keep your business running 24/7. You don't need to hire anybody.
exactly.
You just need to buy the equipment, the robots, whatever they are at that point in time and let them work. I mean, they've got stuff like that experimenting, at certain fast food places and certain like construction companies are
Yeah,
using like machines to like lay bricks. They're 3D printing bricks and laying them like, and that's just with like 3D printing. 3D printing is going to be another huge, like it already is kind of a thing, but I think it's going to blow up even more once that even gets more advanced. I mean, they can literally print food with that shit. I mean, it's not the greatest tasting, but they've done it, and that was years and years
yeah,
and years
yeah,
ago. And
yeah.
now we have AI to do all this shit too. Like technology is going to be a thing. So it's like I wonder what the workforce is going to be like once it's to that point where you don't need humans anymore to do probably 50% of the work that's out there. Because I mean, a lot of the jobs that are out there now are, for like the blue collar workers and stuff, a lot of it is going to be able to be done by AI, like, or, like machines,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the
construction,
question is,
roofing,
do
stuff
you
like that
think
is like, are they going to have fucking robots who can just go up there
yeah,
and they
but do
don't
you
have to
think it's
worry?
going to
They
be
don't,
50 years or do you think it's going to be accelerated faster than that?
that's what I say 50 just as like
Just to be safe. Yeah, I
because,
get that.
yeah,
But
just to be safe.
realistically,
But
like
I mean,
honestly,
realistically,
not optimistic, but like sort of
It,
the like
it's hard to say. It just depends on how fast. I mean, AI and technology is always rapidly advancing, but with AI now, you don't really know how fast technology can advance through the
you're
use of
right.
AI.
Yeah, you wonder if it's
So
going to
it's like,
plateau a little bit like
yeah,
before taking off again.
I
It
don't know.
could
I don't. I
plateau for
don't.
the next 20 years on some level and the bots are
And,
as
that, and
good.
that's
Like they
and
bag
that's
your
why it's hard to
groceries,
say.
but yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
they could bag your groceries now, like the
Exactly,
stuff they
exactly.
have that
But it's
they can
also
do
not
shit like
cost
that.
feasible like to actually employ the bots to do that.
Right.
So they also have to bring
Right.
down the cost of production and have it be like a worth it value
Yeah. So
proposition.
I mean, so when by the time it's worth it, that's why it's like, okay, I could see it in 50 years, like all that shit taken over completely by
Yeah, yeah,
robotics, basically at that point. But like, I mean, I feel like some jobs probably, depending on what it is, like assembly jobs, line working jobs, things like that, probably 20 years. Or it
yeah,
just depend. It just depends on when it becomes, like you said,
yeah.
economically, viable for the company to say, okay, this is cheap enough now. If we do this, we only have to do this, because then you got to think about everything else that comes along with it. Because if you start doing that, you're probably thinking, there's going to be more power consumption. So there's going to be more costs in electricity versus more costs. You're probably going to have to pay to do upkeep on the shit too. And like, is that going to
Yeah,
be, what's that going to cost compared to having somebody else do it? But then
exactly,
again, you don't ever have to
exactly.
worry about having to spend the money to hire more people, yada yada. So I don't know enough about economics and anything about that to even get into it. But like from like a generalist, from a based standpoint, I think 20 years isn't far fetched for a lot of jobs to be utilizing it. I mean, there are places now that have taken the dive to test certain, types of machines that are
Yeah,
using AI, like fast food places to make things and whatnot. So it's like, I mean, and it's only been like 3 4 years, and there's I don't know how many places. I've just seen a few articles here and there, but that's not to say that there's
no,
hundreds of others more that are doing it. But
yeah,
it's like
exactly.
20 years is, I mean, not far fetched. It just depends
No,
on, like I said, if it plateaus, will it plateau because it is AI, but will AI plateau because of our own limitations, being human? Will we run into snags and things like that? Like that's all to be seen. But I mean, at this point in its infancy, I think for the next 20 years, it'll probably rapidly advance. Maybe not, but I mean,
agreed.
there could
No,
be a
no,
plateau
it's a good
somewhere.
perspective. I
I
have
don't
to
know. Just
say, I gotta go, dude. It's three
that's
in the
fine.
morning and I gotta piss. And I've been holding this piss for a long time, but I wanted you to finish off the bulk of your point there.
Yeah.
All right, dude. let's chat soon. Have a great Friday night, man.
Yeah, you too, brother. Love you,
Love you,
man.
brother.
I'll see
Take
ya.
care, man. Bye bye.
See ya.